Was there a sound out there? You see someone upstairs. A sound I recognize is getting closer. Afraid of all the threats. Obsessed by rats and webs.
Welcome back to the GSL. I'm Tasteless, and with me is Artosis. We barely made it back here in time. Wow. What an exciting series we saw back there. How did the interview go with Into the Rainbow?
Really well, man. I like that guy a lot. Old school Starcraft 1 players are really I like them.
I
heard
his friends did not want him to lose to a Warcraft 3 player. Was that okay?
Yeah, that's
all
true.
Right.
That is what they told him.
That's there's always been that rivalry with the Starcraft and the players and the Warcraft 3 guys. So it's good to see that's bubbled up to the top, and we're now talking about it in public. But to be honest, we actually love Warcraft 3 players. We hope you guys are joining us, too. It's actually a great game. All right, well, we got our next game. This day is going by pretty quickly, I feel like. Short games, action-packed. Tell us about this matchup, Artosis.
Well, we have anypro Prime, the best Prime Protoss player, a really great Protoss player. He's been one of the top Protoss players in South Korea since the beginning of the beta. And he's going up against OGS Ensnare, so it's a Prime versus OGS rivalry. Ensnare, one of the favorites of the tournament. You know, he doesn't rank quite as highly in the ranking leagues as Top and Inca, but at the same time, he's a great player, and I think he's actually a favorite over those two as far as getting far in the tournament. And Snare has done a lot of things. He once all-killed the Prime team in a show here. That was a couple months ago, so it doesn't mean a ton right now. But
stuff could change in that amount of time, but he's definitely got quite a reputation. I was surprised, actually, when Spunky told me that this guy doesn't get number one on the OGS rankings, and that him and the Inca and Top actually rank ahead of him. But, now that we've seen how good Inca and Top, Top's out, but he played very well, and this Inca's so good. All right, let's take a look at our guy. This is anypro Prime. The Prime coach is here today. He's actually feeling a little bit anxious about this match. He really knows how tough it's going to be for anypro Prime.
Yeah, anypro is an elite Protoss, I have to say. I've seen him as the best Prime Protoss for so long. Of course, Hongun has come along at this point. Who knows who's actually better? But anypro, he's taken out some good players. Next Henshin, the Terran player, and OGS the Wind. That was a pretty brutal matchup there, if I do recall. anypro, a favorite to get very far. I don't see him as a winner. There's when you watch him and you watch Tester, you see a difference. You can't always put your name on it.
Known as SSKS.
When you see him in Soki-Su.
When you see him in Soki-Su, there's a big difference, in the comparison.
Yeah, there's just a different level. But in Snare, when you compare this guy to top Terrans, there's not as much of a difference as far as I can see. I feel like Clyde and Into the Rainbow and Maka are all above this guy, but not by a whole ton. And Snare is actually a very good player. He took out Sophia Wera in a fun TVZ series in the round of 64, and then Bleach. That poor guy, he got raffle stomped.
Yeah, that was pretty nasty. And Snare, obviously Spunky's here. He's feeling pretty confident about this. When I talked to him, he basically said, we're going to win this game today. There's going to be a win here for the OGS team. He was actually much more concerned about the match against SSKS, the player formerly known as Tester. I think I'm talking about Prince, the artist formerly known as Prince. I hate it when they change their IDs. I remember when I would cast Iris, and then he officially changed his ID to Berserker.
Iris was such a cool, badass ID,
I know.
too.
I thought Iris was a better ID than Berserker.
Sick killer Terran switches his ID to Berserker. It's like, what are you, 12? Get out of town, Iris.
The Berserker has done Warcraft too, man. He should have stuck with Iris. It was a better name. But so we got Tester changing his ID. I don't believe Into the Rainbow has actually officially changed his ID.
No, I think it's actually a Smurf.
Just a Smurf, Hope Torture. Because, all right, well, we are going to get a shot of the maps now. Let's check that out.
We have Xel'Naga Caverns, then Kulas Ravine, and Metalopolis if it gets to the third set. anypro Prime took out Steps of War in Delta Quadrant, OGS Ensnare, Desert Oasis, and Blistering Sands. All pretty normal removals. Xel'Naga Caverns, then Kulas Ravine. We have not seen enough games on Kulas Ravine, Tasteless. I know it's painful for the players, but for us who don't have to play on the map,
not as painful as Desert Oasis, man.
Oh my!
If I have to get a tournament game on Desert Oasis, I'm like, oh god, I got to practice that map that I've eliminated from my map lineup. The Kulas Ravine is pretty cool for PvT. It's got these tight corners, but of course, with the Colossus, you can walk up and down, uphill, so Colossus for Protoss is critical. Terran has to play some pretty heavy defense, solid defense early, but they cannot let the Protoss get too far into the late game. They can get out of control.
Yeah, but with those ledges, sometimes you can get some tanks up there. You can use Vikings coming from angles that Protoss doesn't expect.
That's true as well.
There's a lot Terran can do. Takes a little bit more multitasking to get those things done. But it should be a pretty interesting map for Terran versus Protoss. We've seen some decent ones on this map.
Yeah.
One of the only matchups that we've actually seen Colossus used. But it looks like we're about to start.
The countdown has begun. Let's get ready for these two awesome players. All right, over here at the top right on our one-player map, it is
anypro Prime.
And down here at the bottom left, member of OGS, his name is?
It is?
It is. Wait for it.
OGS Ensnare.
There we go.
There it is. OGS Ensnare. Xel'Naga Caverns. A map where we can see... Whoa, take a look at that APM difference.
Wow. Hi, anypro.
anypro actually 360 actions per minute. Actually, currently at 500.
Yeah.
That'll probably go down a little bit as the game picks up.
I would hope so, considering this is actually 40% less
than
mouse pad is
1. Which actually going to catch on fire.
I think he almost has to be holding keys down to have that occur right now.
That is actually so crazy.
Let's take that. That's actually distracting me. I'm going to change
I can't take it anymore.
Tab. All right. So, it is Xel'Naga Caverns. Pretty wide open natural.
Yeah, let's take a look at that, actually. The natural base here, there's so much surface area to defend with, as you can see. That impacts Zerg a lot more. And got the clock on for you guys, by the way.
That's right. Nifty little thing. Yeah, it tells you how long it's been. And I heard that you can actually use that in the game, Tasteless.
Yes.
Which is actually the silliest thing I ever heard. I'm just going to get a list of when they can have units at certain times.
It is. It's pretty neat for learning build orders, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now we got the probe inside the Terran's base. Terran not going for a wall in, by the way. So he was actually pretty comfortable. He did not believe that his opponent was going to proxy gate or anything like that. Then again, if you proxy gate and your opponent walls in, you basically lost.
Well, you know, to wall or not to wall, that has always been the question of TVP in both StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2.
That's true. The amount of, even though it's a few minerals, the amount of time you lose just sending that worker an extra distance.
And also, against certain builds, let's say your depot's kind of on the edge and they go Stalkers plus Observer. Maybe they're going to snipe it.
Yeah, they can snipe it.
There's all sorts of things that can happen, but overall, I do enjoy a wall in. It's just, it feels more safe.
Feels nice and
I like
secure.
to feel safe, man.
Oh, man, this Marine did not have 20/20 vision. Just let this probe walk right by. So he's got vision. He sees a tech lab. He'll probably stay alive until the tech lab completes, so he can't cancel and deviate from his build. And it's there. Does finally manage to take it out. Meanwhile, Marine down here is doing a little bit of scouting just to see if there's a proxy, anything.
And pretty standard so far. Going to go ahead and kill that SCV so that he does not see what anypro has planned. Just getting through that warp gate upgrade. Getting a sentry out ASAPly. And there we go. An expansion going up for Ensnare.
Interesting build here. Not going for aggression, which is what we've seen most of these guys doing. A lot of 2-racks and stuff like that. Or getting that Banshee like Pult Prime did. In this case, very passive play. He's just going to get that expo out.
Yeah.
Mixing up style a little bit.
And doing so with concussive grenades. I do like that expansion build quite a bit, because with concussive grenades you can out-micro just about anything.
Yeah, that's so true. And looks like he's temporarily supply blocked himself, but he's back into it now. Meanwhile, for Protoss, going for the robotics, this is probably the most common PvT opener we see.
Yeah, it's very safe. It's going to allow him to get an Observer out and Tactical Colossus if need be, and probably anyways. What will be interesting is, does anypro want to kill his opponent or expand once he sees what is going on?
Yeah, that's the big question. Now, we've seen a lot of Terrans be very aggressive. So it looks like he was feigning aggression here, but a probe actually slipped around and is going to spot this command center.
And there it is. He sees it. He's going to radio that home.
He's going to go tell. I'm telling. Ooh. Nice. Puts the pylon there so he can't land it just to buy a little bit more time.
And he's opting to land the command center.
Maybe he's going to build an orbital there or something while he tries to get rid of this pylon.
You would think that's... Maybe he's just waiting to see if he's going to finish that pylon off. Oh.
Interestingly enough, there's a Nexus on the way over here. And he's building a bunker in this back corner. And if you see, he only just now spots that bunker.
He just needs to kill that SCP off. It's going to be easy peasy.
Now he's going to go ahead and get the orbital command. Meanwhile, this Marauder's going to take down its expansion. Now this does slow down OGS Ensnare's expansion a little bit. Here comes an attack.
It's a lot of sentries.
Nice block.
And this Zelot getting slowed down, trapping some units in here. Very nice move here by anypro, using a massive sentries to deal with the early Marauder pressure.
Now he's got to be careful because sentries don't deal a lot of damage. I mean, they're much more like support units. I was about to say he needs to get a stalker out.
Yeah, he does not want to start losing those cheap Marauder units. It costs so much gas to get a sentry out. To lose a bunch this early would be devastating.
Now he did spend a lot of force field energy back there, so another attack could really mess him up. Meanwhile, we see the Terran continuing to build up here. Another tech lab, so he's going to stick with those Marauders.
It's a pretty good unit. Spread those things out, they can kill just about anything. The Marauders going up for a little push here. But he wants to be careful. If these force fields are used just correctly, it looks like he is going to hit the front of the base.
He wants him to engage. There is an Immortal out. Very strong against Marauders.
Yeah, as I was saying, you know, that could be a huge blunder. If he over-engages with those Marauders, overcommits, gets force fields behind him, with that Immortal out, they can be just chopped up into little pieces very quickly.
Now, looks like he might try to go around. So far, Ensnare has been very good about knowing when to back up while keeping the pressure on.
I really like that type of play. You know, fake pressure, one of the most underused, most underappreciated moves in all of RTS games. It's actually brilliant. It keeps your opponent so wary.
You might force your opponent to make an additional cannon, or for instance, push out an Immortal, even though you're not actually intending to attack before you start to detect a Colossus. If you're against Zerg, it can force the Zerg to actually spend drones making Sucket colonies. By the way, we're going to have a drop on the way over here. Two Stalkers are in place.
We have a Ghost Academy going up at the same time, so we're seeing a lot of ghosts today.
That Ghost Academy is right over here, but hold that thought. He was trying to peek. He does not manage to get in there. anypro's control is just very good.
Now, Factory doing a little bit of scouting. Looks like he wants to harass the front, but he's got to be careful once again. Good force fields, trapping a bunch of Marauders. Oh my, can he kill? Does not get the medevac. That would have been huge.
Yeah, that would have been pretty big.
And, you know, that's what you do not want to do with Marauders. You do not want them to be up there getting too close to your Protoss opponent. Good control by anypro.
Well, he's going to take out the gold base. He's got another command center that he can float over there. Meanwhile, back here at the Terran's base, you can see he's having an explosion of barracks. And he's getting some medevacs over here as well. Over here at the Protoss' home, we see Colossus is out, but he did force him to make that Immortal, so that's not good. And
a nuke being made.
Ensnare.
Very exciting. He may, in fact, do one of these nukes that we've seen at the natural base, make him run out into an arc of Marauders. That type of move is uber cool.
It is so cool. Gives me geek chills just thinking about it.
I know, man.
Geek chills going down my spine.
I get crazy goosebumps when I see moves like that. It's just so nice.
Meanwhile, he is also upgrading the range for the Colossus. Now, at this point in time, Protoss is going to have to do something because Terran took the gold base. You cannot sit back and be passive. because the Terran is just going to have this explosion of units. By the way, if you take a look at this Viking, look at the profile picture. It does look like the guy from Halo.
It does.
It does. Remarkably
Chief
similar.
or
Master
Sergeant?
Chef or Chief or
Master Chef.
I don't know why I just called him Master Chef.
Cooks a great steak, man.
Master Chef. He's the Master Chief when he's flying the Viking. He's a Master Chef when he's back at home at the barbecue. Yeah, shocking resemblance. Halo, great game. Not as good as Starcraft 2, though.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely no way you can compare those two games.
No, you cannot. Now we have a lot of Colossi out, but is 3 base for Ensnare, so anypro has to get the move on. He is definitely behind at this point. But he does have a lot of units, so we'll have to see.
Now he does stim, and that forces him to go back.
Late Guardian Shield right there.
Yeah.
A lot of Marauders.
Planetary Fortress here, so you can see Ensnare is expecting his opponent to attack, but I think by now it's too late. Because when the Planetary Fortress is done, that thing is so hard to kill.
Now, a nuke is ready. I still don't know exactly what he wants to do with that nuke, though. He hasn't gotten Cloak, so it's not going to be anything sneaky.
TLO's shown us some amazing usage of nukes.
On this map.
Oh, nice blink. Gets right over there, takes out one of those Vikings. Vikings are so valuable, you can't afford to lose them. Meanwhile, there's a drop ship on the way over here. The bulk of the Protoss' army is out over here.
This drop could be quite nice.
He could get over here and take out the robotics facility or the Nexus. Meanwhile, the Protoss goes down here and tries to attack.
Oh no, anypro looks like he's going to turn around his whole army, but there's an army up here waiting for him. Looks like he wants to run away from this. Engaging might be the smarter move, though. Meantime, this drop doing so much damage.
And he took out so many probes. I mean, there were already so many probes in there, but the amount he's killed now is just huge.
You know, right now, Ensnare is really getting far ahead of anypro.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's got these 3 bases up, one of which is a gold for a very long time. Each one of his expansions has been quicker than anypro's. Anypro now, this Nexus just finishing. No probes down there yet, though. Just a killer income right now, as we see.
Colossus in the wrong place at the wrong time. He stims. He runs forward.
That might cost him the game, but anypro coming back. Can he kill off this army? Tons of Vikings. If he had 2 more Colossi, this would go a very different way.
He takes out one of those Colossuses, but actually anypro's control is pretty good here, but another Colossus goes down. He does take out the Vikings, so at least one Colossus will stay alive. He stims to get over here.
Wow.
Meanwhile, there are more forces coming here from the bottom.
Imagine how different that would have looked with 2 more Colossus. And it looks like actually Ensnare may be able to end the game pretty quickly here. Not a lot of units left for anypro, most of which are slow Zealots.
Yeah, the Marauders really doing a great job here. The Marauders are such a strong unit. He stins, he rushes forward, he takes out that last Colossus. Meanwhile, he's been macroing. You can see armies are coming up here to reinforce.
And wow, this is not looking good here for anypro.
GG, there it is. Yeah, Ensnare was just better overall in that game. I mean, that was like not a moment where I was like, oh, anypro, if only you did this. It was like the whole game, he was just expanding faster.
Good harassment, good unit movements. That's one of the things that really stuck out about Ensnare there. He was constantly putting on fake pushes, just kind of faking out his opponent, making him make extra units, making him, waste mana sometimes.
Yeah.
Really great moves by Ensnare. anypro, his expansions were just slow. He didn't manage the drop quite correctly.
Yeah.
Got outplayed. Ensnare outplayed him. Good game, but looks like it's going to have to go on to Kulas Ravine now.
The Kulas Ravine is a pretty interesting map. Hold on for a second, though. I want to explain to our viewers what we mean when we say faking pressure, because I know there's a lot of noobs. We love the noobs too. We love everybody who watches the show. But if you constantly move forward towards your opponent's base and generate an image that you're going to attack, that might force them to make units they don't need at that moment to defend with. For instance, that Immortal, I think he probably could have actually just gotten straight to Colossus. But instead, that Immortal comes out, and then that means that might be one less Colossus in the big endgame battle.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. By the way, the countdown started. Let's get ready.